Good morning, current or future homeowner. It is the third, well, no, this is the fourth. This is the last weekend in April 2026. We're going to jump out here and document what things look like. The Japanese maple is showing out, looking the best it's ever looked, which it should. It's just been here the longest of any place in the landscape. Oh, this is probably, this got put here in 2021. So now we're talking 5 years in this location. The summer heat hasn't quite gotten to, well, it hasn't gotten here at all yet. And summer heat, I mean 90s every day, upper 90s, you know, the June, July, August time period will start to burn this a little bit, but foliage on this is looking awesome. I do not know exactly what species this is. Obviously it's a weeping lace leaf with that burgundy red color. This was a gift to us, and the person giving it away did not know what it was. Anybody out there know? If you recognize this, feel free to drop that into the comments. That would be greatly appreciated. And I don't know if this is Crimson Queen. I don't think it's Tamukiyama. I don't know what this one is, but I'm loving the way that it looks. I tell you what, I really gotta back up to give you a good view here. It is late morning. It is 10:30 as we start this video. It's a little cloudy. We are so hoping for some rain today because it's been 3 weeks. 3 weeks since we've had any real rain. So the first Sunday in April, we had some nice rain, and it's been virtually bone dry ever since. Had to break out the watering of the actual shrubs just to make sure things can limp along. Wow, I'm seeing some interesting color over there on some of the baby Japanese maples. Those were the 1 gallons that I picked up about a month ago. Just got them over there acclimating. Thought this was going to be a super short video. Obviously spending 3 minutes here at this front bed, it is not going to be that, no matter how hard I try. But you know what? Ultimately, these videos are for me and for any future homeowner of this place, just to document what we got here, what's going on. I love that Solomon seal. Rarely see that. It's hard to find, at least in the areas where I shop. But I want to get some more of that. Just got to find the right place for it. Let's scoot through here. Just documenting. You know, this video is probably going to be my to-do list. I need to get a better planner for this. Something that's taller. Got my eye on something. I just need to get that and get it going. Eucalyptus. Been disappointing with that. I think it was just sort of bad pot to begin with. It just never seemed to want to soak up any of the water. The potting mixture seemed to be very hydrophobic. It just resisted the water. I tried to repot it, put it outside. Doesn't really seem to be helping. Our planter idea here with a boxwood and then the variegated ivy. The variegated ivy is rocking and rolling. We've actually pruned this back some. It is going and doing its thing. The boxwood is slowly trying to do its thing. I mean, we got some new growth on here. Probably wouldn't hurt to pull this out into some sun. Probably wouldn't hurt to nip it just a little bit with some pruning to try to encourage it to grow. But boy, it's kind of slowly thinking about growing. But we'll see how it gets there. This is one of the better boxwoods. I forget the actual name of this one, but a little bit slow. All right, but let's take a look here at how these purple loropetalums are doing. These are putting on some new growth, showing out with that purple. And now that the sun can hit it, it's looking pretty good. Probably can do a little more pruning on this one to take those limbs a little bit further off the house there. I mean, they're not causing any damage by any means, but I don't know, I may shape that up a little bit. Still just trying to figure out what am I gonna do with the rest of the space in this bed now that I've thinned these out. These are obviously going to make it. I did no damage to the roots when I did this. I just took away the plant that the roots were supporting. So, wow, we still even got some leftover flowers on this. This is an early spring flowering shrub. So, and as I thought we might have, we got some new growth wanting to pop out along the stems here. So I'll have to decide what the maintenance on this looks like. But those are doing fine, even with no rain. All right, let's shift over. And I really think it's probably because of the lack of rain that the Billia here has not put on more growth. But there's a chance this week we might get some rainfall. Hopefully it will happen. Now I see why this is not looking right. There we go. Change the setting there. Zoom out just a little bit there so you can see the whole bed. All right. Yeah, got to figure out what do we want to do back over in there. Took one out, put it in a pot. I don't know. The verdict is still out on whether that thing is going to make it or not. It's not looking great, but I'm not ready to give up on it yet either. But like I said, everything in here is just slow. Well, there's not a lot going on because it just hadn't been a lot of rain. Been trying to nurse these Abelias along. I don't see major stress on that one. I have hand watered these a couple of times. If we don't get rain today, I may do that. Starting to get some blooms on the curly wax leaf ligustrum. It's really been slow to bloom. So I want to see those things bloom out and then figure out like how do I want to thin those, shape them up into whatever vision I had when I thought about putting those in here. This Abelia is looking okay. That one back there looks like it's thinned out a little bit more. That one definitely needs some water. These were Radiance Abelias. These three that I've just shown you here with that variegated look. And then this is Abelia as well, but that is Peach Perfection. You can see the little light colored new growth where it gets its name on that. All right, another Radiance here. Looking okay. Oh, see a little bit of a green sport there. Need to cut that out because that is not what the plant overall is supposed to do. Everything should be looking the same there with that variegation. A little bit of Homestead Verbena popping out there. It's probably suffered some from the lack of rain. All right. What else we got going on here? Something is nibbling on these hydrangeas. There's one little nibble right there. These are the strawberry sundaes, but look here. That is not left over from the pruning, because you can see how everything is leafed out. I think something's nibbling on that. May have to go back and check the video, do a instant replay of what we had last time to double check that. While I'm at it, thank you to the squirrels who want to plant their acorns in here. I have not pruned back the little Puxter Buddleia butterfly bush. Got two of those. One right here that I'm focused on. The other one is right there. I really wanted a third one right here. Just couldn't find another one once I decided I wanted three here, so went with a different Buddleia down there. I think that's a raspberry color. And that's a holly of some sort down there. This area here, I'm thinking about tweaking it some. But we got the black diamond crepe myrtle here. You can see where it gets its name there with the dark foliage. It'll have white blooms on this variety later on. It's looking pretty good. You know, each year looks a little better, So hopefully that'll just keep going. Yeah, I gotta decide. Well, you know, I debated on whether to hard prune this, and by hard prune I mean like cut it back like at least 12, 24 inches off of where it is right now, which I guess would be about halfway. I hemmed and hawed and debated, and then it's never did it. But I probably need to at least take off 6 or 8 inches. You can see the old blooms, the old spent blooms from last year that are carried over, but you know, it's leafed out. That's all new growth there on those leaves that are green. So I probably really need to cut that back. I'm just experimenting along the way here. Did not realize I had oh, well, I see what that is. That's just a limb off of this one, but wow, it's got such a gap there. Probably need to pull some of that St. John's wort out away from the base of this little limelight. I really want to transplant that around in some other areas, and I planned to do that this spring, but it's just been so dry. I don't want to baby anything and have to water it to get it to make it, so just maybe putting that off for a while. Just get to that at some point. Oh, I am noticing some brown areas here on this pancake arborvitae. That's not necessarily a great sign. This thing could be suffering from a lack of water. Now it's got a twin right over there. Might be a little bit of browning on it as well. If we don't get rain, I'm gonna need to take care of this bed. And look at this. We got a dang, I don't know what that is, oak tree. I mean, look at this. Holy smokes. That's as big as my pinky finger. I'm not gonna be able to pull that out. Well, I'm gonna snap it because I don't need that thing sucking up water. That needs to be going to other stuff, so pull the top part of it off. So maybe that'll kill it, but I gotta remember to pull that, cut that out of there. Oh, let's talk about this poor coral bark maple. I finally bit the bullet. I could definitely tell where it had a lot of dieback from this winter. You'll have to go back and look at some of the other videos, but I mean, that's a big old branch there that I cut back. And if you look real close right here, you can see the healthy color, and then you can start to see where it's getting darker brown right there. Let me adjust the camera better. Healthy growth up to that bud area there, and then from here up was much darker color. I scraped it, could tell it was dead, eventually cut it back to right there. Just gonna have to see how this thing works out, if it does or doesn't. Cut that limb back, cut that limb back. Had two over here that I cut back. Just a work in progress, as always. Oh, notice some blooms on the Chef Choice rosemary. That's the only Chef Choice rosemary in the yard right here. That's probably, I think that's at least its second home there. Been there for a couple of years. All right. How else is everything looking? You know, the orange rocket, quite the story. Planted that was part of the original plan. So planted that August 2020, and it, you know, it was about a foot high. It was doing okay, you know, when it was time. It's deciduous, so during the winter it's just a stick or a group of sticks, and it was doing okay. I was pruning it back every year, but really about year 3 I was seeing other people's examples and looking at mine and going, you're not half of what everybody else has. So, you know, I did what all garden lovers do. I talked to it, gave it a pep talk, and I said, if you don't start to do something this year, you're out. We're gonna cut you from the team. You're gonna be off and out of here. And it responded well. It actually started making us happier. So just look at that color. Obviously what gets hit by the sun has that orange. It's really more red in my opinion, red maroon. And then what's more shaded is the green. Maybe you can see some good looks into that center section there, how it looks when it's green. But check out this companion. I call it a companion. I mean, I just think these two colors look great together. So that's your candy corn double play spirea. It's been here, maybe 3 years. This was not part of the original plan, but when I saw it and saw what it was potentially going to do, I was like, yeah, I gotta have that. I don't know if I really understood that it was deciduous. It does die back, or not didn't die back, it drops its leaves during the wintertime. So we wound up with a little bit of a skeleton here of just sticks in the wintertime, but that's okay. I'll take it, because what it does from early April all the way into the first frost and freeze, October, November, is awesome. I cut back the Russian sage this year. It's growing back. It's growing back as fast as it can with the lack of rain. I mean, I'm sure if we'd had some decent rain, it would be much further along, but you know, nice, tight, compact look there. I really like the fescue. I love that color, but it has struggled here, and it hasn't helped that I think the rabbits enjoy it. I mean, all 3 of these were planted at the same time. I think I planted 4 or 5, but a couple of those there are struggling a little bit more, and I planted some down through here that the rabbits were like, yeah, we'll take these. We'll let you have some of it, but we're gonna take some of it for us. not gardenia, this azalea, Encore azalea, is doing awesome, doing great. It's not at its peak, and it's past peak at this point, but it's still hanging on to those blooms. It still has color, so that's awesome. Oh yeah, that's another Russian sage back there, and it's starting to bloom. Oh wait, oh, I'm seeing what's going on. We got some catnip growing up into the Russian sage. Yeah, there's catnip back there, Russian sage right there, and then there's the catnip peeking out from behind it there, some peeking in it. Well, it's doing what I wanted it to do. I used to think every plant needed its little globe bubble. Every plant needed its bubble to grow in, but it's really better to plant tight, in my opinion. Not have so much wide open space, as I point to the wide open space right here, but this is wide open for a reason. We actually have a septic tank underneath in this area, and the back part of it is right there in that section. So this will always be something that's just easy to dig up, move whenever that tank needs to be pumped out. The other part of it is right there, or right in here, somewhere right in there. It's the other end of the septic tank. All right, look at that catnip. I mean, when that thing just grows, it just grows. Perfect little ball there. Look at all those blooms. I don't know where the bees are today. I guess it's not quite sunny enough. Maybe they're not awake and out. Maybe they found something else they want to get a hold of right now. But that was just a division off of another one last year that I moved and put in this spot. And it established itself, died back during the winter like it's supposed to, and then boom, just popped right out. Free plant, split one in half, and look at that. Can't go wrong with that. Check out the growth we got going on here with the hot lip salvia. Nice, tight little ball there. That'll be double that size, and you'll see the blooms on it a little bit later this year. I don't remember what that is. One of these days I'll do a bed by bed complete list of everything. But let me pan up here and let's check out the Natchez crepe myrtle. Look at that. It's been leafed out. Well, you saw the video. I guess it's been 3 weeks, or maybe at least 2 weeks since my last video, and that's when it started to leaf out and was showing some good signs. So now here we are, last weekend of April 2026, fully leafed out, gorgeous, looking good. Needs some rain, although you to look at this doesn't look like it's hurting, but obviously it's got a better root system, reaching down deep, getting that water. But should start to see some blooms on it, and we will share those with you. I'll pan over. You can see his little buddy over there, or not little, his big buddy, his twin, on the other side of the fireplace. Obviously all leafed out as well. And if you look right there, through the magic of Zoom, there's the third one. All three did not come from the same nursery, but I think that one right there was planted maybe a year after these two. So 2021 for that one there, 2020 for these two. They're looking great. All right, what else we got in here? The grass, I don't remember what kind of grass this is, but it's leafed out doing its thing. There's an azalea. I might need to give some thought to moving that, relocating it. It's just been so dry. I don't want to baby that thing right now and have to keep watering it. Got a cat mint down in there. I actually tried to divide that, butchered it. I really gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm really gonna need to probably cut back this emerald snow loropetalum. It does start to look kind of sickly, I guess, to some people after it does its flowering, but boy, it's held on to a lot of those flowers. They're still there. But it is super thick, way bigger than I really kind of thought and planned. Now would be the time to cut it back, but with just little to no rain, I don't want to hurt it too bad. So maybe I wait and make that part of my list of things to do next spring. Black and blue salvia, which is getting gobbled up by the loropetalum, and it's trying to stick its arms out and grow and catch some sunlight. Regardless, right here, it's spreading a little bit, which is okay right now. Hopefully we'll get some blooms on that. Show you what those look like soon. I'm just amazed at how, I mean, that's 4 little 3-gallon emerald snow loropetalums, and they just cover the back of the fireplace here. One of these days, I'm gonna get around to putting together some videos of the before, what this place looked like before the fireplace, before we planted anything, show you the progress, and remind myself of the progress that's taking place here. Probably, I've started working on it, but you know, everything takes time. And I think I'll do one just separately for the fireplace, just to sort of chronologically capture the progress of how that was put together and built. There is chartreuse on the loose, catmint. It stays pretty, you know, it doesn't take off and eat up a lot of space like, I think this is Walker's Low that I've been showing you in the other beds, and this one right here as well. I believe there's 3 here. I'm not sure why we have a gap in the middle of this one. I want to say maybe there was some sort of weed I pulled out of that the other day, but I don't know why that one's looking a little gappy, unless a cat came through and took a nap there, which we actually do have a cat that comes and visits. Likes to hop up on the sofas on the back porch there and dirty them up. Makes the homeowners not real happy. I just think that's the craziest little design right there on that flower. Or bush, shrub, whatever it is. The flowers on the shrub. Boy, I feel like I could just pop that thing right out of the ground. But it keeps surviving, keeps doing its thing. The other one is kind of laid down, but it's still got flowers on it. All right, let's make our way around here. The daffodils have really done all they can do. They've stored that energy, put it back down in the bulb. They will come back next year. I tell you what, I'm really glad to see the fescue doing what it's doing, especially with the lack of water. I was just so thankful for that. But the little grass that I partnered with it is not doing so great. I mean, it's there, but it's just slow to do its thing. But boy, I love the color on that. Looks great from inside the house looking out here. Maybe the rabbits will leave it alone. Got some more Russian sage here. I think this is a different variety. This might be the Denim and Lace proven winners here. These 3, the lighter color. 1, 2, 3 right there. I forget what I've got right here, but I think I got a crepe myrtle trying to sprout up in amongst it. Got to do some work on that. There's the hot lips for this side of the fireplace, which is interesting. Compared to what we just saw, this is not as tight of a ball as the other one is. So maybe this gets some more shade in the afternoon or something. I don't know, but I don't think it's really gonna matter. There's one of the original azaleas going back to August of 2020. Doesn't look happy, doesn't look good. I think that's a candidate for relocation or completely getting rid of at some point. And then we come back to the mirroring of the candy corn, orange rocket, doing its thing, rocking along. One thing I did on this side was I planted St. John's wort back here behind the orange rocket. So that's an evergreen, and that keeps some color in here during the winter time when these orange rockets are just brown sticks. They look dead during the winter, but they're not. And I think we'll take a little time here to do some weeding. I tell you what, if anybody wants some clover, just start a nursery. Apparently clover comes with every plant that you buy. So there's some salvia here, looking great. Not really. Due to the fact that there's been so little rain, this stuff looks great. I mean, you look at it, if no one told you it hadn't rained in 3 weeks, you probably wouldn't think that. But if I pan over here and I show you the ground, you see the stripes there? That's the drain field for the septic tank. So that grass is happier. It grows right above that. And then if you pan over here to the area that gets the least amount of water, it is dry. But you can see a little bit more green up against I call that the Leyland row there, the Leyland berm. That doesn't get hit quite as hard by the sun. It gets a little more shade over there, so it stays a little more green. But I'm not focused on pouring money into the grass to keep it green. I want to keep it alive, but I'm not focused on keeping it looking like a golf course. Not at that price, at least. Somebody else can do that. I'd rather have these plants. So these irises are fizzled. Still got a couple of blooms there, but for the most part, these have fizzled out. Now what hasn't happened is these haven't bloomed, but I see them yellowing. Maybe that's a water issue. But I just haven't had those long enough to recall when they bloom. More chartreuse on the loose. Catmint, but right next to it is just your plain old green oregano herb. And yes, you can cut this back, or cut those stems, dry those leaves, and cook with it. That's what your dried oregano is when you buy it at the grocery store. It's been a year or so since I've done that. I probably need to do that today before we get, hopefully, the rain that's supposed to come. There's big old mounds of oregano right back there. I need to cut some of that, take it inside, start drying it, and we use that in our spaghetti. We use it in our soups and stews during the winter time. And a little bit of that goes a long way. That's the reason why I haven't cut it back in a couple of years. We still had some left over from when I pulled some of that last year. Oh, let's see, what do we want to capture up here? Don't think the German, what was that? Lavender. I see no sprouts coming from that. I say German lavender. It was lavender seeds brought back from Germany. Those did not work. Basil thinks it wants to do something, but boy, it's just stopped. I got 2 sprouts out of about maybe 6 or 7 that I planted in there. Whole lot of nothing. Here is the Loropetalum that I removed from the front yard area. I know it doesn't look good, but I'm gonna pretend it's still alive. I just keep giving it a little water each day, hoping that it regrows some of those smaller roots to absorb that water and keep this thing alive. Because if I can just get it over the hump of being pulled out of the ground, it'll be awesome. But it's been a struggle. And I think chipmunks love the lettuce. As soon as it starts to sprout, they grab it. There's another little sprout right there. Now, one thing that I really love the look of, but I've had so many problems trying to grow it, is this, I think it's Snow and Summer, Asiatic, something. Had this one in a pot with some lemongrass. Lemongrass, I think, completely died. I was kind of expecting it would after I put it outside. But once I pruned this thing back and cut back some of the dead vines on it, it sprouted some of this growth the very same day. And I mean, it really has put on a lot of growth. It was just last weekend when I cut this thing back. So don't be hesitant to cut back something that looks like it's dead and dying. Maybe I cut some of those back a little bit shorter, but you can see the new growth popping out. Hopefully we're gonna have that looking good here shortly. I don't think there's anything else up here to show right now that you haven't seen before. Nothing to document. But look, Cheyenne skygrass is starting to show some of its purple color. I know I'm a broken record, but if we'd had a little more rain, I think those would be further along. Right now, I'm just trying to keep some of the newer ones alive. Let's see, let's get, there's the coral bark maple sangukaku over here on this side of the house. Looking great. Did not have any dieback like the other one did from the other side of the yard, on the other side of the fireplace. Oh, I forgot to show the Baptisia in the fireplace bed, but there we go. There's a Baptisia. That was a seedling. Both of these were seedlings. They both are purple in color. This is the first year that we've had blooms on them, and they are 3 years old. Got that 3 years ago from Dr. Durr at a giveaway he was doing at a garden tour at his house. More Russian sage there trying to pop up. Oh, I see some weeds back there I need to pull out before they get too established. We lost a ground cover rosemary right there. That one did fine. Let's see. Yeah, I got one puny looking Peach Perfect Abelia back there. I've watered this bed once. I guess it was last weekend. Hopefully we'll get this rain that's supposed to come through today and next week. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to give some more attention to it. Salvia over here is trying to bloom. Got some purple, got some pink, red. I think they're supposed to be red, but they're obviously just now starting to bloom. I did notice something this week had been doing some digging in the flower bed. You may be able to see some darker mulch there where I put it back in place after something had been digging through here. Don't know if it was squirrels, deer, next door rooster. I know the rooster has been over here a couple of times, well, more than a couple of times. He's probably over here a couple of times a day. He's generally along the back property line. Oh, but I have seen him up here occasionally looking for a free meal. All right, let's see. Pan up, show you this Natchez crepe myrtle here. Nice and full. And the purpose of these was to, not only look good, but to provide some shade for these plants underneath it. And in this area, we had to create our own shade out here because you can see just how much of an open space this still is. And the tree line is way over there. We do have a tree line here, but the sun is up and over those trees probably by 11 o'clock. So this just gets roasted from 11 until the sun goes down. Still got my cage on top of this, which I forget what it is. Gotta look that up and remind myself what we got going on there. I know this is Kinsley's Ghost honeysuckle, I think it is, but I know it's Kinsley's Ghost. I have seen a version of this that gets pretty big. I think I've got an idea for a trellis that I'm gonna make and either paint or stain to replace, obviously the plastic nursery trellis that it came with, so that this can grow up a little bit taller, and then probably go back down to the ground and run wild until I decide to prune it back. Tea olive is showing out with some new growth. This one is one that I've had to talk to and tell it that it really needs to put on some blooms and give us some classic tea olive smell. The wife is not happy, and neither am I, that it hasn't done that yet. Holy smokes. What is this up here on the wall? That is one heck of a caterpillar. Holy smokes. Can't say that I've ever seen that before. Gee whiz. I don't know which end's which. Oh, whoa, that's not a caterpillar, that's two moths. Okay. Alright, check out the chocolate chip. Ajuga. It is spreading. It's doing a nice little thing there. I think this was one here, and it's probably 4 times its normal size. You gotta figure out how to go about dividing that. And I think this was one, maybe it was 2. Sure looks like it was 2, with one happier than the other. Oh, I am noticing, wow, okay, so this iris needs a little more shade. That's why it's over here on this side of the house. It's not dead. I thought it was. But it's there, it's alive, it's green, and it's surviving this drought situation, which is great. Boy, check out that. That is one creeping rosemary. One. And it is so happy. I just love that growth. I love anything that will stay green like this and look good. It does get a bit thin back toward the center once they get this big. But wow, I'm so happy about that one. I mean, and I've had to prune it back kind of hard here because it just wants to go, and I guess, really make a big circle. And I mean, I've probably cut back at least a quarter of it to keep it inside the bed line. Oh, it's crazy. And of course, it's growing up against a gardenia there that didn't want to grow for us, but we'll just let those two give each other a hug. Maybe they'll help each other out. And then we get into the area that gets neglected the most. Maybe I'll get around to doing my winter garden maintenance and moving some of this stuff around. Japanese painted fern's doing great, getting enough shade back there to look good. Such a lack of shade in this garden. I just have to find the spots here and there to put stuff in. I forget what this is, but it was a tag along that came with the mondo grass. It is spreading a little bit, and you can't really get rid of it. I mean, it looks fine. It's nice, to me at least, but hard to get rid of, hard to cut out, but it doesn't multiply very fast. So that's why I'm not so worried about it. I mean, it's probably gonna take that thing a long time to really be a big bully in the garden. Here's some variegated St. John's wort. So that's only maybe, I think I got that last spring actually. Yeah, I think this was last spring, last March time frame. I bought both of these. Kind of interesting. Really got some variegation there. Not much variegation there on that one. I mean, that's just one plant, but I don't know. Just letting it establish itself. Got a lot of new growth on, I thought these were American hollies. Some kind of holly. This was here with the house when we bought it. A lot of new growth on it here. Probably my mental note is next year I need to do a pretty substantial cutback on it. And by that I mean probably like a 3-foot all around cutback on it. I don't know. That'd be big. Maybe I just take the top out of it and cut back some. That's a big cutback job. All right, swing around to the front. Not much to document there. You can see the new growth on the other holly on the other side there. Oh, let's see. Here in the front bed, well, I'll tell you, Carolina Midnight Lord Petalum is just showing out. It's growing faster than it really needs to. There's been a lot of new growth on this. I'll just keep nipping it back so that it can build up some girth and some thicker bones. Let's get down. Let's just take a peek. What have we got down here? See, you know, for as tall as this thing is, I mean, at the very base, maybe 3 inches, maybe 4 at the crown there, at the soil, and then it quickly drops to 2 inches, and then it's maybe 1 inch and less as you get 3 or 4 feet up off the ground. So a lot of bush there, a lot of shrub, and not a lot of strength and structure to hold it. I mean, I think it would do fine in a little bit of a storm. You know, it'd blow around. I think it's pretty pliable. But winter ice is probably the biggest threat to this. As it gets bigger, it gets taller, fatter, faster growing, but not the strength it needs to survive. So just got to keep an eye on that. May have to prune it back harder than I really want to, because I love the free-flowing shape and I love what it's doing. Because if you notice over there, over the top left, we've got the dead part of the Leyland cypress that it's covering up. I need to put that on my to-do list to cut that out of here. There's just a little bit more dead on the one on the right here to cut back out. But instead of having a big old gap right there, that's unsightly, got this great specimen here covering that hole up. Let's talk about the sunshine ligustrum here. These guys are struggling from the lack of rain. So these were here. They were actually closer. You can see one trying to grow up from where one used to be. So I had 3 right here. They were too close. Dug them up, spreaded them out, moved them further away. But with the lack of rain, this thing is just dropping leaves and saying, hey, I can't keep it going. So I've had to hand water these a couple of times, but I hope we get some of that rain this week. Keep them happy. All right. Okay, here alongside the Leyland Cypress row, we've got the big sunshine ligustrums. These have been here the longest, but they are thinning out. Lack of rain. I think that's exactly what's going on. They are dropping leaves so that they can survive this drought. Because typically, except maybe during the wintertime, you can't see in here to see the skeletons of it. But you can now. I am so glad that this purple Japanese maple seedling is not showing any stress from this drought. I have watered it a couple of times over the last 3 weeks. So I'm just so glad, because boy, that purple looks great. We can see it from inside the house up against this green and yellow. It makes me look like a pro landscaper. 9 bark, that's what this is. The 9 bark was just put in last fall, and because of the drought, I'm just trying to keep it alive. I've watered this a couple of times. It doesn't appear to be showing any stress, but it also is not doing anything else, which you can't expect anything to try to do anything spectacular when it's not getting the proper amount of water. I mean, look at this. This is, it never is this thin even during the winter time. And I've thought about tree forming these, and you can see in there, this kind of gives you a glimpse into the structure of what would be the, the tree trunks, kind of like what I did with the loropetalum in the front. But for right now, this is just a helpful screen to screen off some of the dead areas here on the Leyland cypresses and to fill in some of these gaps. You can see while we have a double row, at certain angles you get a gap where you can see all the way across the street. Put that evergreen clematis in there to grow up and hopefully, provide a bit more of a green backdrop on this particular Leyland cypress. It's the worst one. It's leaning. It's probably a quarter of it is dead. But it's just kind of been this way for years now. So I don't think it's not getting worse, but still not nice to look at. And the one next to it is probably one of the healthiest ones we have in here. Green for the most part, from the tip top to the bottom. This angle doesn't look bad. You can see a couple right in there with some gray limbs, but they're not bad. They're not bad. All things considered, how many are planted here, how close they're together, how they've basically been neglected and not watered since probably the first year they were put in. Really not that bad. Trying to keep the Shastidae viburnum alive. It's doing fine, I think. Let's see what else we got here. Black Dragon, Cryptomeria. Very slow growing. This one's been here probably since 2021, maybe 2022. Very slow. It's not gonna screen a lot. Just interesting to look at. So, you know, here's another, as the car goes by, here's another gap-ish where I could plant something maybe, sorta. I don't know. Try to fill that in. Yeah. Yeah, one thing with the thinning is you can see some of the weeds or the trees that are growing underneath the Sunshine Ligustrum. I pull that thing out before it's 6 feet tall, poking through the top. All right, see, here's some catnip that I moved this year. And of course, it's struggling from the lack of rain. But as long as it stays alive, as long as it makes it through, that would be of a win. Temple of Bloom, Seven Suns tree. I know it's Temple of Bloom. I think it's Seven Suns tree right here. Looks like it's got some exfoliating bark. It has only been, it was planted last year, I believe last spring, so looking good, looking good. Surviving as usual, or not as usual, but surviving, so that's nice. Oh boy, we got some weeds here. There's the clover, there's the, I don't know what that is, but it, boy, it looks like it has thorns, but gotta get out here and clean that up. All right, let's check out what we got going on here. Chinese snowballs are done. Half the blooms and petals are on the ground. The other half have faded away and are hanging on to the top. Our purple loropetalum, I don't remember the variety here, but it's starting to get gobbled up by the new growth on the Vitex. I did not prune the Vitex this year, so we're just going to document what that looks like as it fleshes out here. All right, what else we got? What else do we need to take note of? Here's a rosemary. This is not a ground cover rosemary, but it's kind of dying back a little bit in some sections. I don't know if that's competition from the Vitex, lack of water, which kind of goes hand in hand with competition there, or is it the shade? I don't know, because on the front side, what's facing us right now is thick. Looks good. Let's see, the goldenrod here is making it through this time of year. Here's what I noticed a couple of weeks ago was my Fothergilla was not happy. So the one in the front is okay. Two in behind it there are not okay. I've been giving them water. Oh, let's see. Go through, go through. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yep. There's a purple loropetalum. I mean, it's okay. It's just not great. But look at the purple smoke bush right next to it. It, in my opinion, looks awesome. So happy about that. Looks like I may have missed my window for moving this butterfly bush this year. I'm just gonna have to keep an eye on it, and I'll just have to prune back the side here so that it doesn't grow into and continue to deform the silver smoke Arizona cypress. Now this is definitely the Sunshine Ligustrum with the most character. I don't know if I've ever pruned on this, but boy, it's just got its own little thing going on here, and I'm fine with it. Just do your thing. It is planted next to just a volunteer cedar cypress of some sort. I don't know what this is. It was here as just a little 2 or 3 foot tree when we bought the property. And when I cleared out this area, I left it. It's really looking pretty good, all things considered. Considering it's, I'm assuming it's just a native, just a naturally occurring specimen there. Sweet gum is all leafed out, big and tall. The other sweet gum is leafed out. There's the Chinese snowball that's fading away. The obedient plant survived the deer trying to take it out last fall. They were investigating it. I think maybe they just discovered and were reminded they don't like it and they left it alone. I replanted it. It's surviving. We'll see what it does. Mountain mint. Don't remember the exact variety of this because I planted 2 varieties. One right here that we're looking at, and I planted one back behind here in the other berm. That one did not survive, but this one is doing good. And it spreads. I'm not too worried about it spreading. I want it to spread. It's kind of interesting because I sort of planted it right here. But you can see like where I cut back some of it, and now it's kind of left a bit of a gap. So I don't know if it's like ever shifting, you know? It's like the old dies back and then, you know, it sends out new growth to the next door area there. But I feel like it just kind of meanders where it wants to go. And then this is going to be interesting to show you later in the summer when that blooms out, all the pollinator activity that it gets. All right. Hey, if you're watching this and you know what this is, send me a note because this is just naturally occurring here. We'll zoom in and get you a good look at the leaves. You know, it's got this red new growth. It kind of looks neat. I think it might just be a native wild, or well, I can't say native and invasive. I don't know what this is. I don't know if I should let it go and let it do its thing and then just maintain it, or if I need to be vigilant and just cut it back to the ground, try to dig it up, because it has re-sprouted in here. It's obviously growing from up underneath, either through tumors or rhizomes or something. And I just gotta figure out how much of a heavy hand do I want to have on it. Here it is again. Very new growth coming up out of ground. It's right next to some Parsons juniper. And here's the other thing I'd like for somebody to tell me what it is. I got this ground cover that just keeps coming back. And right now, I think I'm just gonna let it have at it. This is not the most covered area. I'm gonna show you that in just a little bit. Well, actually, you can look right there between those 2 plants. You can see just how much of it, how thick it is over there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm making a mistake by letting it go, or whether I need to get that out of there. Now see, here is this vining thing again, and you can see it's starting to get aggressive and grow up on Sunshine Ligustrum. Now I got a couple of plants in here, seed drops that have rooted, that I gotta cut them out. But see, I just don't know whether to keep this thing going or be vigilant and kill it. Yeah, look at it. When you stop and take a look, it is just all up in here. There's some more. Oh me, this area needs to be mulched. It's got some natural pine straw dropping down from the pine trees, but the wood chips here have gone bye-bye. And the winter was a bit cruel to the rosemary this year. Got a lot of weeds in here. The beautyberry, I don't know, it just wasn't, I'm not crazy about this variety. Of course, it's struggling with a lack of rain. Now the Vitex I planted over here and pruned up on pretty good this spring, looks good. It's gonna be a bit more upright than the one at the other end that we were showing as we started this bed tour here. But yeah, this is that ground cover again. Now yeah, ignore the weeds and the thorns and the thistles growing up in here. But what is this? Does anybody know what that is? And should I be taking it out? Or am I okay just to let it go? Because it is running wild in this area. If it's not gonna cause big problems, I'd rather have this ground covered with something okay as opposed to the weeds that obviously are in here that I don't want, that I need to pull out before I get the other stuff to grow. Let's go up here and take a peek. We've got new growth on this tea olive, but it has been slow growing. Now, let's take a peek at this. I think this is another Carolina Midnight Purple Loropetalum. Obviously it's Purple Loropetalum, but I think it's a Carolina Midnight. It's doing well. It's kind of surprising. It gets more morning sun than the one that I showed earlier. That's getting a lot of afternoon sun, and it needs probably to be more vigilantly pruned. Spartan juniper, doing great. Doesn't get big, but boy, that looks great. You know, I could go with some more of those. You just don't give them away. That's the problem. Another Carolina Midnight, I do believe, right there. Hey, looky here. See? This is what Mr. Rooster does. Makes an almost perfect circle. It's okay if he wants to move the mulch and eat a worm. I just wish I could train him to put the mulch back. I forget what that is. I know, one of these days I gotta do the full bed tour. Each bed by itself, all the plants. Oh, look at that lantana. New growth lantana coming back. Bam. Look at all that ground cover there. I don't know what it is. Somebody tell me, please. I need to know, because it is here. And I may be too late already to try to get this under control. All right, now this was just some naturally occurring grass. I didn't cut it back last year. It didn't look its best self. This year I did cut it back. It has that white stripe that runs through the leaf. And then it gets the little seed heads. Kind of reminds me of sea oats. But I love that seed head on it. I mean, this is early. It looks its best in summer and fall. And there's weeds in here. Complete trees that need to be removed. Ooh. I see a lantana that is not sprouting new growth. A little bit of concern there. I don't think it survived the transplant. Oh, this one did-ish, kind of, maybe. Here's another one, not surviving. Oh, that's disappointing. Very disappointing. I don't know what to think about that third Florida sunshine here. It is not happy. They all look like they're getting a little too much sun. Very bleached out. I would have thought that the morning sun would be fine with this. But as you can see from my shadow, it is not quite noon yet and the sun still hasn't passed up and over. Maybe as we get further into summer, it'll move in the sky a little bit better. But right now, that's not looking great. Now the gray owl, maybe planted too close together. I don't know. It's amazing that a little 3-gallon like that can put out so much growth. And apparently, I guess it can get 6 by 8. It's not there yet, but it's on its way. Maybe, you know, if you go tip to tip on these, they're probably 6 feet right now. So they're on their way there. These, as you can see underneath the guy wires, were planted many years ago. That one was this spring. That was from this spring. Those 3 were from last fall, I believe. So, but they're doing what they're supposed to do. They were put here to provide some greenery, sort of kind of hide the guy wires a little bit, just anchor this portion of the bed. And we've got this little walking gap here between the leylands, between the other berm here that we've planted. You know, now the pine trees and the maple trees were already here. We left those, but everything else we planted. Tried to maintain this bed. You can see a little bit of the bed line. I just cut part of that ditch there yesterday. So, just trying to provide something here as a buffer between the road and the backyard. And so you see this little walkway that we've got here through the 2 areas. And voila, the backyard. Zoom back to normal there just a bit. Take it off a wide angle. So there you go. All right, we'll leave it on this setting here for just a little bit. Let's work our way down. Let's document what we got here. Why not have a 7-hour tour of a mediocre backyard? There's the bed for the Chinese fringe tree. It is fringing as we speak. I think we're on at least week 2. This might be the 3rd week of blooms. So, very happy with what it's doing at such a young stage in its life. These things can get 10 feet by 10 feet, so I'm looking forward to just having a big old giant cotton ball out here in the springtime. Let's see. Got our big green giant there. Looking good. We got our legacy daylilies here that I haven't decided what to do with. Oh no. The oh no is from the dead crud. Well, that soft touch holly is gone. That one is struggling. That one's trying to hang on. These three used to be up by the house where the Peach Perfect abelias are currently located. Let's see how much we can zoom in here. So these soft touch hollies used to be underneath those windows. They were a bad choice. Shouldn't have been there. They're just not the best small holly to begin with. You got to really pay attention to them. You got to make sure you keep them watered well. I'm a bad plant dad. I don't like to give you water. I like to buy you. I like to buy you cheap. I like to put you in the ground. I give you a good drink of water when I plant you, maybe one more a week later, then you're on your own. That's what I like to do. But that's not necessarily a good recipe. So I think I'm gonna just let that sweet gum, which I believe is a sweet gum, I don't know, I'll have to look for the gumballs this fall because there are no gumballs on the ground right now, but somebody told me that's sweet gum. Well, we'll see. So we're back here on the back line of the property. So the idea here is to fill these back berms up with stuff that's going to grow up nice and thick and can just help provide some natural screen between us and our neighbor. You can see our neighbor and their little small chicken coop. That is the small one. They have a much bigger one. And the wonderfully, I say that sarcastically, the wonderfully invasive Chinese privet. Looks kind of pretty. When we first moved here, I was ignorant and saw it. This whole fence line, when it starts to bloom, is like, wow, okay, well, hey, that's free, wonderful, beautiful landscaping. But man, invasive, drops seeds. I mean, all those little blooms are a seed. Those are, thousands of seeds on just one of these guys. And they drop, and they take root better than anything I've ever tried to plant. And you can see this whole limb stretching way over. That's got to come out. It wasn't weighted down this much, obviously, during the winter time, but yeah, I just gotta clean it up. Clean it up. I'd rather have these sweet gums growing in here, although they are deciduous. They'll drop their leaves in the fall, but I'd rather have sweet gums growing in here than have this Chinese ligustrum. And the birds are just gonna eat it and spread it all over the place. It's just not good. Not good at all. I mean, the biggest problem with the Chinese privet, Chinese ligustrum, is it just outgrows everything. It sets more seed, so the natives or anything else you really want ornamental-wise can't keep up. Now, I do have some lower limbs here on this oak that I need to prune out. You can see how heavy, how far they're leaning over into the bed here, blocking some sunlight from Mr. Murray cypress. That is a Murray cypress, not a Leyland cypress. Should be more disease resistant. Not as quite as tall, not quite as big. Still gonna get big. You know, the idea is it's gonna grow and fill a lot of space between these two other trees here. And it's an evergreen, so it'll be a constant block screen going on. But I've had to do some salvaging and saving of this tree, because I looked at it the other day and we had this nasty vine that was growing back up on it. I'd already cleaned it up when we moved in, but the vines are still here doing their thing. And if left unchecked, they'll kill this tree. And that would be very, very unfortunate. Got some nasty vines, thorns growing up in here. Cleaned them out once. It's just time to do it again. It's probably a project for the winter time when things are dying back. Let's check out Empress of China dogwood. You can see the new leaves, the lighter color on the new leaves that have popped out. Older leaves there are still kind of hanging on, a few of them are. So it's surviving. Oh, that's, here's the other seedling Japanese maple. It's not doing so hot. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think that top part's looking good. We got some growth down here at the bottom. So I could cut this thing back and just let it go and see what happens. I don't know. Need to make a decision on that. It's probably hurting it long term to keep that dead part up above whatever is still alive right now. Can't complain about the Arizona or the Carolina Sapphire, Arizona Cypress. It's just rocking and rolling, doing its thing. I'm sure it would love to have some water. The elusive brown thrasher, walking through the yard, stalking its prey, eating all the bugs. Get them all, eat them all. Those two must like each other. They're not being aggressive toward one another. Interesting. Well, back to your regular scheduled program. All right, Charlie Brown Christmas tree. If you see the videos of this just a couple of months ago, it is putting on some growth, which is great. This is blue ice, Arizona cypress. So hopefully it's going to have a distinguishable color in its new growth form. Very much noticeable difference to the Carolina Sapphire. This one's supposed to stay more blue, more gray. That's why it's called blue ice. And then this whole area here, it's going to change up. It's way too dry to do anything now, but I basically want to connect all these beds together right here. Expand this one, move some things around in this bed, wood chip it all, and as I was saying, the Chinese privet is a mess. Absolute mess. Looks like a pretty tree, but it's a mess. So that's got to come down this winter. And then look at this canopy growing up and over and now hanging down. Can't walk underneath it like I could this winter. And all of these little clustered flowers are gonna be seeds. And they're gonna fall. And then a small percentage is gonna sprout. And there we go. That's what it looks like when it's sprouting up. Big old pain in the rumpus. Yep, I think that's one right there too. followed by a couple of weeds or whatever those are. But every couple of years, I just have to get in here and thin this out. And see, I got a maple that's trying. So if I could just get rid of these Chinese privet, let these natives do their thing, it'd be so much better. See, you can't see through here. Look at this. Just hanging down. It's gonna be a pain hitting me in the head when I'm cutting the grass. The grass can't grow. Not that I really want grass growing. You know, I kind of like a divider. You can see down the line there, you know, I kind of want some division between this natural area for the adjoining property and then our area. But I can maintain that. I could, you know, if I get rid of this aggressive stuff, invasive stuff that's growing in here, and then get these beds defined and get them wood chipped and just keep the invasive stuff out of it, I can fight that 24-inch fight of keeping this other stuff back. You know, lawnmower once a week, once every 2 weeks in between here, we'll keep the stuff cut back. And it's just a matter of catching whatever dropped or was brought in by the squirrels from growing up and taking over these beds. Doing a little experiment there with some St. John's wort. It survived the winter. It's doing fine. So hopefully maybe that'll spread and fill in this bed with some ground cover. Now what we do have, let's just stop pan up here. That entire planting bed was not on the plans when we started. It came about because right over here is where the stone workers had their cutting table and their pallets of stone for the fireplace. So this is where they would cut the stone and then bring it over to the fireplace and build the fireplace. I'll show that in the video. And what we wound up with was just bare soil, dead, compact. And of course I thought, well, eventually the grass will grow back. But then I started thinking, I was like, I started looking at the area that was beat down from where they were working and where they had stone stored. And I thought, you know what? Wouldn't take much to clean out what little grass is left here and have another planting space. So that's what we did. Just another contribution to the accidental garden. It was not part of the original plan, but it's one of the areas I'm most pleased with. Carolina Sapphire, Arizona Cypress, 15-gallon, planted in August of 2020. And right there is a Green Giant. It was planted as a 15-gallon, same time. Took them a little while, but boy, they have filled out. They're looking great. They're happy. The Distillium that looked like they were miles apart when I planted them in between these two, now they both might need to come out. I don't know. I think I am going to do some heavy pruning on each side of each one to take the Distilliums out from growing into the trees. I'd rather have the trees. I don't want the trees to be damaged. Hate to have to pull those out though, but can't afford to lose these trees that I've already got. And the clearance, Sunshine Ligustrum, just cannot save itself. I think that's a dead and goner, gonna be a goner. Then I just gotta figure out, okay, what are we doing here? Are we just gonna wood chip this? Or are we gonna put something else down in here? I don't think a tree is going to work competition-wise with these two that are already here. So just let me know if you got any thoughts on that. Still love this fern spray false cypress. Fern spray false cypress. It's not a fast grower. I can't remember if this was a 3 or a 7 gallon when it went in, but I just love, as they say, the architecture, the structure, the bones of this guy. Just does its thing here. All right. Yeah, and I'm worried about the Cheyenne grass. Not these two. These two are the best of the two. That one back there is puny as all get out. I'm assuming it's probably competition from the tree, maybe. I was waiting for it to get a little more growth on it and then maybe relocate it. But the lack of rain, if you're hinting a theme from this video, the lack of rain. Now that guy is looking just fine. A little bit of dieback, but not much. This little lobelia, the little lobelia that could, it just barely can though. I don't know, it's so amazing. You got one there, struggling, and I don't think it was the best. I don't think that I pulled that. I don't think I divided one. I don't know, but boy, that's such a small. I mean, it would have to have been a 1 gallon when I bought it. It's not much more than a 1 gallon now. But look at that one. 10 feet apart, 12 feet apart. That one is so much happier than this one right here. Crazy. Okay, this is what I was trying to get to. The little 1 gallon Cheyenne sky switchgrass. Trying to come back, trying to come back. We need some rain. Yes, I did water these a little bit in the last week, but they're already struggling. Now that one was planted a year before these other 4. It looks like I'm gonna wind up with just 3 here. I'm gonna have this one, and then the one on either side of it, to the left and to the right, look like they're about already dead or given up. But then the ones on the far end show some signs of life. Maybe they're gonna make it. Now here's something I'm noticing for the first time. Look at the coloration. Maybe that's the coloration on the new growth. So from here to here, I'm guessing is new growth. You can see the older last year's wood right there, darker color. I think that's new growth. This just keeps on growing. When are you going to slow down? Grow up. Stop growing out. I've already expanded this bed once, and I was hoping I expanded it enough, but look at you. You have just taken all the space. Oh, me oh my. Maybe I'm gonna have to start pruning on it and encouraging it to stop. All right, I gotta get busy. I gotta go do something. I got stuff I need to do. But here we go. Last little look at the yard. Listen to the birds chirp as we pan. Until next time, go get your hands dirty.